There's a saying in Zen Buddhism, the lines of the hills, are they not the pure body of the Buddha? At first, it seems a strange thing to say, but like a lot of things, it seems paradoxical in Zen. When you look more deeply, you realize that really is true. We are interconnected, and at a deep level, we are one with the earth in all its forms, the rivers, the mountains, the sea, the forests, and the stars above. They are all part of the one cosmos, one system. Alan Watts once said, it's a taboo to know who you are. And in some sense, this channel is maybe a taboo. Finding out who you really are, when we do find out, can be quite surprising, somewhat shocking to some. For example, when you look into the interconnectedness of being, you realize that that means a void within, an emptiness within, a non-self, a self that is not limited to the within. That idea, that definition of oneself is very limited and very parochial, you might say. It's a very egotistical notion of oneself. And beyond the ego is where the deeper sensibilities, the more grounded sensibility of one's being. We're not taught this in school, particularly in the Western tradition, in Western schools. In the post-war era, at least, it may be something that is more accessible now and in the future, in a growing sense, as we identify more with the earth, as we move into an era of what's called eco-civilizational development. And in that eco-civilization, in those eco-civilizations, those civilizations that integrate the ecosystem into their society, into their economics, into their education, into their psychology, into their consciousness. In those eco-civilizations, the sense of self is shifted towards an echo self, or you might say a Gaian sense of self, or a Gaia self. In other words, it's a self that seems like a taboo to even say it, because unless one is beyond a limited view of oneself, to say such a thing can smack of vanity, egotism, and all that, which is not what it is at all. It's a a new way of viewing things, seeing with a different framework, seeing reality more clearly, more holistically, more interconnectedly. And in that seeing of that reality, one is real. One has awakened to what is real about existence, about oneself. And perhaps this is what we're exploring when we say one self-discovery. Because again, in Buddhism, but also in other traditions, we have to learn to live with paradox. Because on the one hand, yes, there is this oneness, this unity, this non-duality, this non-division, this non-separation between the inner and the outer. It's an unbounded view of things. And when there's no boundary, then it's inclusive. It includes all things. And when that is the self that we're referring to, that is different to the normal, conditioned, limited self. And so it's a journey of self-discovery. And you can't jump the queue. It's you can't get there from here. As a Buddhist coach, Marshall Goldsmith, I think his name is, wrote a book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. The consciousness which got you here will not get you beyond that. Albert Einstein once said, in order to solve a problem, you have to go beyond the thinking of the problem itself. You have to see deeply into the problem with a consciousness which is beyond what got you into the problem in the first place. And so it is this journey of paradox. And resolving that paradox is like answering the koan that's given to a student by a Zen master, grappling with the paradox until it unravels itself and you're free of the constraint or of the question of the problem. And in this journey of discovering oneself, we'll be speaking to people who have been on that journey, who have grappled with these paradoxes and also the challenges that we all share, that we all suffer. This is the message from Buddha, is that, and also modern psychology, acceptance and commitment therapy, is we all suffer. And yet, as the Buddha is saying, you suffer of yourself, none else compels, none other holds you, that you whirl upon the wheel and hug and kiss its spokes of agony. What that means is, through our attachment to our limited concepts, holding on to it, we suffer. And by letting go, we may just see something different. We may see beyond the suffering into a way of living with suffering, and also experiencing something else. we're not going to obliterate suffering. It's our approach to living in a world of suffering that changes the suffering. So in this series of talks and interviews, we will explore the variations of this theme of suffering in the journey through life, and how to come to terms with that and still live a meaningful, a rich, and fulfilling life. In other words, how we might flourish on planet Earth, how to flourish, not just individually. There is no individual salvation. If we are interconnected, if we are one, if we are whole, if we are a unified field, if we are a collective consciousness, if we are a planetary being, as Krishnamurti once said, I am the world and the world is me, and the world is in a poor state at the moment. And when we see suffering, when we see trauma, it's a human response. The Good Samaritan is a humanized being, is a natural, undamaged in some way, a natural human being. The natural response is to help and reach out, not just sit on a cushion and sit in samadhi. That's a deluded idea of enlightenment, because waking up is, as Ken Wilber said, maybe precedes or goes along with showing up. In other words, doing the work, doing the Dharma. Gurdjieff talked about the work, the great work, and people like Erwin Laszlo talk about the great upshift. And part of the work in this 21st century of people who are waking up is to help others to wake up to a new way of looking at the world, to a new paradigm. A new paradigm means a new way of relating to the world and to each other. And when I say relating to the world, for example, I mean relating to the earth, relating to the ecosystem, relating to the animals and plants, and realizing, as I said at the beginning of this, surely the hills and the valleys are nothing other than the pure body of the Buddha. And when there's erosion, when there's climate change and the snow-capped mountains are melting and the pure waters are no longer pure because they're not melting, there's no water flow down into the valley to feed the farms and to feed the people. So we have to show up and do the work to heal, restore, and enhance, and to heal all beings, all plants, all animals, all humans. As the Buddhist saying goes, may all beings be happy. And we naturally seek happiness what we mean by happiness is freedom from suffering. We seek to be free from suffering, accepting that that's a direction. And a lot of the suffering that we can get free of is not the physical suffering, although we can address that by working, doing the work, showing up. But a lot of the suffering is inner suffering, unnecessarily suffering from within, from psychological misunderstandings. And as Krishnamurti also said, we need a psychological revolution on this earth, not just so that we can get free of our suffering, but so that we can heal and help the earth to step up to the next paradigm and to build a new world of love, harmony, peace, and beauty. And in that sense, that's another idea for this program, is to help us to find ways to get to that state. What is the road to that destination? The road is important. The destination is important. And we will find out that there are many different ways and different roads, and we can talk about that and share those life experiences and learn from each other, inspire each other, and empower each other and others to feel engaged, committed to the work, to turning this earth into its next phase. Evolution is always stepping into new phases, and we need to go with the flow of that. And in Taoism, they talk about going with the flow, the Wu Wei. And this reconnecting to the earth and developing and promoting a new paradigm of connecting to the earth with flow, so that through that flow, the earth and all beings on it can flourish. And my friend, that is a statement of the purpose of this channel, of these series of video interviews. And I look forward to you being part of that, to you contributing, and to you learning from, listening to, and responding to the videos, sharing them with others that will be part of this channel. So, GaiaSte, Namaste. Namaste, GaiaSte. GaiaSte, GaiaSte. Namaste, Namaste. Thank you for listening.